Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, to come to this press briefing. We appreciate your time, and at the same time, we value your commitment in ensuring that we discuss issues affecting citizens of Zimbabwe, in particular for this cause, vendors. We were in the past thinking that vendors are respected individuals, and we are learning slowly but surely that vendors are not being respected by leadership, not because they are not important, but because they are marginalized. We all know and understand that vendors in Zimbabwe have not been represented for so many years, and they've been suffering abuses, unrepresented, no one taking heed of challenges that they were facing. Today here, we are gathered to highlight one of the major problems that this country is facing, which is corruption. I will go through my brief notes to highlight where we as vendors are affected and why we feel that we are being let down by both our government and local authorities. When the government of Zimbabwe gave a directive to remove vendors from the streets, we thought this was being done in good faith, trying to sanitize our cities and towns. Sadly, one of the major reasons to effect such a ruthless process to the poor vendors was the local authorities' machinations of sneaking in organized corruption. Because they wanted corruption to be sneaked in, hence the need for them to rush the process to remove vendors from the streets. Both the government and the local authorities are turning a blind eye against such rot. A critical question is, why is government developing cold feet when it comes to issues of corruption? When in actual fact, we have a minister in the local government who is very militant, in doing things. When he said we need to remove vendors from the streets, by just a blink of an eye, all vendors were forcibly removed from the streets. The same minister comes around, he says, we want all houses around districts of Harare to be destroyed. They were just destroyed by just a whisker, just like that. And here we are saying this very same minister is responsible for local government. Yet corruption is on its highest, and he seems quite reluctant to take any action against corruption. And in this regard, vendors are mourning, vendors are crying. And what vendors need, they need Zimbabweans to come in, chip in, and help. How is this happening? Municipal police officers and their superiors are stealing from vendors every day in broad daylight, while the government looks on and the municipal administration busy protecting the perpetrators. Are we saying the government and the municipal police are both beneficiaries of this process? If not, why are they not taking part in combating corruption? Since corruption hurts, corruption destroys, and corruption just hinders development. Vendors are now confronted with numerous challenges of survival in an economy with no jobs. And in this comatose economy, where money is hard to come by. And the question is, why are the authorities ignoring the challenges that are being faced by vendors? The tragedy with our government is that it is not responsive to citizenry issues, to citizenry challenges. At any given point, you try and raise a critical issue, and the government feels you are bringing in civic education, you are in for it. And what we want to develop at this point is to try and bring our heads together and see how we can capture this in the field of vending, because currently vendors are suffering left, right, and center. The little income vendors are getting is being taken away by municipal police in bribes. And this formula, I really want journalists to be able to capture decisively and clearly. Every day of a vendor's life, they are forced to pay money, or if they don't pay money, something adverse happens. If vendors pay bribes, the vendors' goods are spared from confiscation, meaning to say the municipal police are benefiting directly from what vendors are doing in a corrupt and bad way. And is this what we want? No. If vendors do not have money to pay for the bribes in this economy where money is hard to come by, the vendors' goods are confiscated and forfeit, meaning to say you have no choice. If you have no money, your goods will be taken, which means the local authorities have now turned its structures and criminalizes every process so that they keep control of the harmony of force, arrogance, and other adverse things that they can perform on citizens. If vendors refuse to pay bribes, they are targeted, and that will be the end of the road, and they will not be allowed to trade. In a similar incidents, we are seeing many of senior council officials supporting and protecting these criminals. And we really now wonder why we stand here as a nation that is first preaching about fighting corruption and upbringing the standards of living. If vendors report these unscrupulous municipal police officers to ZRP, their superiors immediately come in and protect them. They do not just protect them, but they ensure that they bar any such vendor from trading within CBD or similar or other areas. On the 11th of this month, vendors in their different trading zones decided to apprehend the corrupt municipal police officers. But this has created hell for those who participated in the process of the arrest of these municipal police officers, or anyone who was deemed to be linked directly or indirectly with the process of their arrest. Because of this development, we have seen many vendors since the 11th of this month failing to trade, and many of their goods have been confiscated because they've just participated on something positive for this nation. Vendors are now between two sharp points of a dilemma. On the one hand, if they do something right, they are seriously victimized. If they do something wrong, meaning to say they contribute in payment of bribes. The little that they earn in the form of profits is eroded because they don't make such huge amounts of money to afford sharing in that manner. On that note, I need to draw to your attention that confiscation of goods at this point is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional what the local authorities are doing to take vendors' goods. One, because vendors are doing what they are doing not because of choice. Number two, vendors are protected on Section 57C of our Constitution, where seizure and confiscation of goods is prohibited. And in any case, if one then decides to seize or confiscate someone's goods, they must have a court order. And the local authorities are working with government to conduct an unconstitutional process, where at this point we are calling both the government and the local authorities to relook at what they are doing. Section 13(1)(a) of our Constitution clearly demands that the government and all its agencies must support self-initiative and self-reliance. We are astonished to see that what we are supposed to benefit from government, the reverse is happening. The local authorities in this regard have decided to come up with a plan and say, look, we want to relocate vendors to designated places. Which places they knew were not there, point number one. Number two, were not ready to be used. And to date, these places are not habitable at all. But what have they done? They have sold permits or cards to many, many vendors. And from the day a vendor received their card, they get charged. And some vendors are now owing in excess of $100 when in actual fact they have not been shown at all where they are supposed to trade. Meaning to say, Harare City Council is very direct on fraud against vendors. But because it is a system, no one will challenge it sensibly to try and defend the vendor. And today we look at a vendor as a marginal person, a person who should not be helped. And why are we looking at this situation so lightly? Our position as vendors, we are appealing to government to instruct local authorities, and here we stress and buttress. We are appealing to government to instruct local authorities to stop confiscation of goods immediately so that corruption against vendors can be dealt with effectively. A municipal police today feels he is a king because he holds the criminal mandate to police the streets. They will come to you as a vendor and ask for a bribe. If you don't give them a bribe, they will confiscate your goods. Meaning to say, our system, government and local authorities, they are promoting something criminal. They are promoting something that they should be fighting. Today, we have seen a group of vendors who have caused the arrest of 5 municipal police officers. All of them, including their direct friends or relatives, are not allowed to trade in the CBD, which means corruption is being supported by the local authority, and if the minister within a reasonable time does not react to this discussion, we will not hesitate to link him to the corruption that is happening in the local authorities, because this is directly affecting vendors as citizens. We further demand that the Harare City Council must immediately withdraw its municipal police officers from the streets, because they are not serving the purpose for which they have been put on the streets, but rather they have turned criminal. We cannot continue to be policed by criminals. We also appeal to the City Council to stop victimizing those who are doing the right thing of getting municipal police arrested. Our belief as vendors is that one day, if we continue to share the perception that combating corruption is one way of addressing our challenges in the informal sector, we will achieve the end. But if we look on and do not participate, few and many of us will continue to suffer in the hands of those who are being protected by systems of power, systems of evil, and systems of unreason. Anti-Corruption Commission, which is the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission in Zimbabwe, is not investigating any cases, as you may be aware, because they have no commissioners and they are not doing any work. But what are we being told as a nation? We are told that there is the anti-corruption section that can deal with issues of corruption related. But each time we visit them, they will tell you we're not working because we have no mandate to work. But in totality, we should see a Zimbabwe working towards achieving the ultimate end of ensuring that a vendor is assisted. Let us all participate in governance issues and see the Zimbabwe that we envisage in vending. I was very inspired, not once, not twice, but many, many times, by a statement issued by Honorable Patrick Joao. Very, very inspired, because he stood firm and said, those individuals, we have no jobs. Be resolute and demand the jobs. We have demanded the jobs in a different way, by way of ensuring that we create our own small businesses of vending. This model was clearly a model not to burden government. But the inspiration that is drawn from Honorable Patrick Joao is that he is clearly telling us what to do. My question will be, how will we demand jobs, as he clearly puts it, that we should demand jobs? Is he insinuating that we must demand jobs in formats like making noise? Is he insinuating that we must demand jobs by knocking on doors where jobs are not available? His statements augur very well with what we should be talking about right now. If our government is the sole cause of where we are today as vendors on the streets, why are we sparing it to account for how we should survive tomorrow? We have done consultations, and this we do not take the government by surprise. We've done consultations with our members countrywide, and they have agreed to move out of vending sites and sit home, but the next possible alternative will be to burden the already broke government. If the government does not respond to our call to stop confiscation of goods and to stop harassing vendors, we will burden its fiscus by flocking into its offices of social welfare, which obviously is the government's role to support its citizens. If it doesn't, then it will force us to continue thinking progressively in the way to save ourselves. Thank you.